For Friday the 13th, 2020, we talk about This Is the Police, Sunless Skies, and we do a free play multiplayer. Welcome to Level 320. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm David Smith.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Welcome back, one and all. I don't have like a cute thing to begin this with. Usually the dismount from the intro to like going into banter is seamless, but no, I am calling attention to it.
Well, normally you joke about whatever current event it is, and the latest current events are not so much fun to joke about.
No, people are getting sick, and a lot of people are losing money, and it is.
We can joke about
issue.
that one. That one's okay.
I wish it was localized. It'd be cool if it was localized to only to people who could bear it. But this is going to have long-reaching consequences.
Yeah, I think if I opened my window, I could hear the wailing.
Yeah, you're at a couple of different epicenters there, David.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, so like, I was about to say, the intro doesn't have to be all about this. Like, I could talk about I got to hang out with Jala and with Dave. You know, they came into Columbus, and Simone, our friend from Cincinnati, was up there as well. And I was about to say, that has nothing to do with coronavirus. No, the Arnold Classic that they were going to go to was canceled. So they were doing a bunch of like touristy stuff. And I was going to focus more on it was nice to have dinner with them and catch up. But yeah, like that shitty thing is casting a shadow over everything. So blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay safe, folks. Wash your hands.
Yes, please.
The
Wash your
best way I've
hands.
seen it put is wash your hands like you just chopped jalapenos and you need to change your contacts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's just wash your hands. If this is what it takes for you to get religion about washing your hands, then do it. It's I
say look on the bright side of things and pretend like you're camping out inside your house.
Yeah. So Ben, you're you're not like locked away. You're not in quarantine, but like you being in Washington, like stuff is different up there, right?
Yeah. So I think on last Tuesday, maybe they announced the first person at Amazon who got coronavirus. And so that kind of sparked everyone to work from home on Wednesday voluntarily. But then by the end of that day, the company just said everyone's working from home.
It just became policy.
Yeah. And then the next day, they said everyone's going to work from home for the rest of the month. So it's like the current status. And that's kind of like the status for most of the tech companies around here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like a weird change of pace. Like I told you guys before the show, there's been a couple of times in the past week where just end to end, I've been in my apartment the entire day, and that feels very weird.
Yeah.
If
it was me, that would be no different, but that's different for you.
Yeah, like, I mean, there's been weekends where I've spent the entire time in the apartment, like for a day or two, but it's like here or there, not like all the time, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Just feels different. And then, like, I'll go grocery shopping at night now, like at like 10 or 11 when no one's around. So yeah, it's kind of weird to do that type of thing. It feels like vaguely paranoid or whatever, but it's the right thing, I guess. But yeah. And then the other thing is I got an exercise machine. I got a rowing machine for my apartment, so I can do things while being in the apartment all the time. So
yeah, so you will not atrophy.
Yeah. So,
like, have you done anything cool that is not related to the incipient pandemic?
No. I've completed some video games, so I'll have to talk about those. But
yeah,
I guess that's cool. I guess, yeah.
David, how about you? What are you up to?
Honestly, not so much. Just kind of doing my thing. I've got family visiting this weekend, so been getting ready for that. But that's really been most of it.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Dennis, how about you?
I've had some craziness on the family health side. Thankfully, it has resolved well.
Yeah.
That is like I think we hung up recording last week. I blinked, and now it's this week because of that.
Yeah,
so, absolutely crazy. But like I said, all has turned out well. Thankfully, some stuff was caught well before it was going to. It could have had worse consequences.
Yeah.
And so but that will eat a week real quick.
Yeah, hospital time is different than regular time.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I will not presume to speak for everybody on the call. I am grateful that it turned out pretty good for you. I don't know about that scoundrel, Ben.
I do like to be contrarian. I'm trying to find my line here.
Oh, man.
Unlike my opponent, I support people getting better. Unfortunately, that's pretty much the argument sometimes in politics.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. Yeah, well, I mean, I see no reason why we shouldn't get on with the show. We can do some stuff here. So we've got the regular kind of show for you, the grind, the multiplayer, and then we're going to round out with the end boss. And why don't we get started with the grind? The grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Last week when I was editing, I caught myself. I introduced the grind like I was introducing the brief. I said, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games, etc. And none of you corrected me.
I wasn't here.
Jala didn't correct me. It was very funny.
Maybe I just assumed that, what I've been playing is the most relevant thing that happens in the world of video games.
Yeah.
I just want to show the amount of implicit trust I have in you, Cole.
Yeah. Oh man. So Ben, you were not here last time, so I'm gonna throw to you. What you been playing?
So I'm gently prepared for this. So let me open up my Steam history here. All right. So I guess the two big ones I want to talk about. I finished Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Cool.
I finished it like maybe 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. It was like a pretty solid game all the way through, like a strong B+, maybe an A- type game. It had a good ending, like a kind of unexpected ending. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. It's probably going to have a sequel sort of thing, I won't spoil any of the details of the ending, but like, after everything of the game, it's like on a ship and it's like, where do we go next sort of thing, it's like one of those types endings, So that was good overall. I think, I'll be eager to play the sequel. I mean, that said, the game itself, like the rest of the game maintained the same pattern that the first half had, where the maps are really detailed and really well done. It's cinematic enough. It's like not as polished as like an Uncharted game, but they did put a lot of effort into trying to make a lot of like cool, unexpected moments, and it works. It's good enough. And they do a good job of like honoring the Star Wars universe in the sense that. This kind of sounds like a backhanded compliment, but they follow the same tropes, like there's like the droid like buddy, but it's good. It's like respectful. It's not done poorly. It's not like a Force Unleashed type situation, I guess.
Yeah.
Feels like coming home.
Yeah. So overall, I'm very happy with it because I think the bar for Star Wars right now is not terrible, and so if it exceeds that, then it's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Wait,
I don't know if
you're
you
not a fan of Force Unleashed? I thought that was generally considered one of the good ones.
I don't think so. I was very disappointed in it, but that
I
was
don't
a
think
game
I
where
ever played it, so I can't say. But
so I can recall too that was because that was a game where I followed a lot of the pre-production videos, and I was to like what they were claiming the game would be like, because they would talk about like the material system that they have and like how things will break in a very like interesting way and stuff like that, and the entire world will be mapped with this. And so and at least in those, which I don't know how many people follow those, they overpromised a whole lot, and the game itself did not seem to be that fun in my opinion, and like, I didn't like the story that much, and I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, that is an old game. That is a beyond 10 years ago game. So, so Cole, I know you're still in the midst of this game. Maybe
Yes.
you should finish it. It's good. It's worth it.
Yeah. I mean, so like, how are the boss fights in this? I associate Souls games with having banger boss fights. Does this live up to that?
So this is probably this is like a trend of my gaming play style for this week that we'll be talking about. Is I just bumped it down to the easiest setting whenever I got to a boss that I could not beat.
Oh yeah, I gotcha.
So it happened first, I think, at maybe around the midpoint of the game. There's like a boss fight that I was just like, I'm not going to get past this. And like, I don't know. This is a problem with me in like Souls games, maybe, where it's like, I don't understand the telegraphing, and I don't understand like the window that of where I should be hitting, and I don't think that that's telegraphed. And so I just wasn't having a good time with that aspect of it. Like that said, towards the end of the game, I did get a little bit better. And like after I would bump the difficulty down, I would bump it back up like afterwards, so that the regular the regular difficulty. Like, so some of the bosses that you see like throughout the entire game, like I eventually got proficient at like fighting them towards the end, and so I was happy about that.
Yeah,
but pretty consistently after the midpoint, I would have to go down to like the easiest setting for the boss fights, just because that's not how I wanted to interact with the game, really. So I was happy at least that I had a way out, I guess. But I guess that was one part that was just kind of confusing for in the game for me, because it was like half adventure game, but then it was half this, where they would try and invest in like the boss fights and try and make it like generally difficult too. It's more of like the duel type fights where it's like you against another person with a lightsaber were the ones that were difficult. When it's like you versus like an AT-AT or something, you just roll under its legs and like stab it a bunch of times and it dies. So that was kind of like maybe uninteresting, or I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know.
Some kind of reverse Jedi principle rolling around in there. We can work out.
So I don't know who this game's trying to please in that sense. So for me, at least, the boss fights like that I could ignore pretty well enough, and I kind of came to it as an adventure game and enjoyed it from that aspect of it.
I mean, it is, let's say, leaps ahead of the discourse in terms of allowing you to change the difficulty to get over a wall.
I see. Yeah. Because is that not an option in Dark Souls?
No, there's no like explicit difficulty option. There are things you can do to make things harder. But like, with the exception of
with a banana for the controller or something like that. Or...
Yeah, like any of those things, or even like within the game itself, like there are, like in the later games, there are like basically factions you can join that will make the game harder for you, etc. The only way to really make it easier is to like summon help, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
Or there's like yes, cheesing is also a factor.
Yeah.
I still maintain cheesing is an art.
Hey, you know what? It cuts both ways, If the game is gonna play dick moves against me, I'm gonna play dick moves against the game.
I feel like Dark Souls kind of codified that as legitimate. That so many people got through that game by figuring out how to cheese it, and it's just like chase your bliss, whatever works, man.
C's get degrees, man. Yeah, so, but it's good to hear that they have they have that option, especially since the game seems to be so much more focused on telling the cinematic story than like demanding and developing excellence in the player, right?
Right, and to be fair, like I at least am very very much behind that sort of thing. Like I think the boss fights overall are the worst parts of the Soulsborne games.
Okay.
Hot take.
Save that one for the free play.
Yeah. I mean, except maybe for Bloodborne, that has a special place in my heart. But like, especially Neo, like I basically stopped playing it because I got frustrated with one of the boss fights.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I agree with that. I have the same feeling. but I also know that game's not for me. So
no, I mean, yeah, that's not surprising. There's a lot of people that are right.
Yeah, and I also know it is senseless to argue with somebody's experience. So yeah, I think we've all grown.
Yeah, but I'll be curious to know if you play through the end of it, Kole, like what you think of it and how it compares going through the lens of kind of like wanting to see a Soulsborne game and getting adventure instead. Anyway, if there's no more questions about that, I will proceed to the next game that I've beaten.
I am satisfied.
Yeah, so I also beat Disco Elysium finally.
Dang.
Nice.
Got through that game. Yeah, what did you say?
So what constitutes beating? Because I thought you had already done a couple playthroughs. Is that not the case?
This is the first one, and beating it is when the credits start rolling in the game. So it is there's a clear indication at least. But I might do another run in the future. But yeah, I mean that's another game where it's like kind of like the pattern of it kind of maintained till the end. There's a lot of creative moments in the game that are like joys. But the game is kind of, in my opinion, kind of held down by the fact that it's the isometric form and like it's a little bit clunky at times, like the way that you like traverse the map and talk to people. Like sometimes there's like a lot of backtracking you have to do, or sometimes you're not exactly sure where you need to go to do something, and it's a little bit unclear. And the game doesn't really, sometimes it'll give you like bad recommendations for what you need to do. Like, for example, it was telling me I needed to go to a place, but I was alone that day. Like my partner was gone because he was taking care of something.
Okay.
And it didn't tell me that I wasn't able to activate an area because my partner wasn't there.
Oh,
and
weird.
So, yeah. And so it was like stuff like that. It's a little bit clunky. Yeah, so it's kind of like a mixed bag. It's definitely original in the fact that the core gameplay is all mental checks, and you have this weird like dialogue between your brain going on at all times. Like that part is really cool, and it seems like similar to Star Wars. Like that's something that I'll be very interested to see a sequel of and see what they can do with that sort of mechanic. And again, I don't want to understate it. There are a lot of really cool moments of originality in the game. Yeah, so it's like a 40-hour game, and I would say that maybe like 5 to 6 hours of it are like really, really, really solid, and it's just sprinkled, amongst the entire game.
The thing that I love about this is it's a way to trick like people who are really into crunchy CRPGs into playing a visual novel.
Yeah. Yeah. It is like kind of an even split between those two.
Yeah.
He's got Visinegg.
One of like the weird, so this is like similar to XCOM where if you want to really max min the game, probably what you're going to do is do a lot of save scumming. I don't know how many people fall prey to that. I do that on some occasions, especially if it's something where it's like a 95% check and it fails. I'm like, let's reload and try that one more time.
But I mean, it's set up like a good tabletop role playing kind of thing because you fail forward, right? Like failing kind of. It's like, okay, you've played it, so from what I've heard, failing is often just a way to get forward with different results as opposed to something that puts you in, into an outright like disadvantage, right? Or
that's
stopping
not always
you.
the case. There's definitely cases that you're talking about, like failing forward, where that can be true, but that's definitely not the case all the time. So I don't know what the exact split between those two cases are, but
yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I mean, overall, the roles or whatever seem pretty fair. And like that system seemed pretty good. And they give you plenty of options for it too. Like if I were to play the game a second time, I think the way I would do it, and I can't remember if I mentioned this or not, there's a memory jar mechanic in the game where it's like you talk to someone, like for example, you talk to someone and you get this idea of the homosexual underground of this part of society. And so you can invest in spending time thinking about this thought. And then if you think about it for 8 hours, that'll manifest in some sort of like idea in your thought jar. And so you can do this for a lot of things. You can do this for, you can think about the end of times or something, or you can think of a relationship, like a failed relationship with the past. By the way, this game touches on that in a few places, and it is like devastating at a few times of like of failed past relationships.
Does it pull some like Eternal Sunshine shit, or
in a few places it's like that where it's just like very heart wrenching. I don't know what it would be like if it would feel the same way from a female perspective. But yeah, it was interesting. Basically, it was really well done. Anyway.
So what kind of character did you play as? Did you play as socialist cop? Did you play as centrist cop? Or did you play as fascist cop?
I tried to play as honest, do-good cop. I was trying to win over my partner and make him convinced that I was, a good detective and doing the
centrist
right things. I guess so. That's why I was talking about wanting to go back through and play it again, because then I would want to go back through and do all the batshit crazy things. And the other thing that I would do is, if I went back through and played it again, is I would just scrap and not do any of the memory jar things. Because the points that you use to invest in those are points that you could invest in just the skills themselves, like upgrading your logic or upgrading your physical prowess or whatever. And the reason why it's really good to upgrade those skills is those unlock checks that you might have failed in the past. Like, they have white checks and red checks. Red checks, you fail them once and they're done forever. A white check, you fail, but then you can invest in whatever perk you were rolling on, and then you can try it again if that's ever higher. And so if I were to go through again, I would use the upgrade system as a means to retry checks and try and like kind of focus on skills that way. And I think I would start off with an even split, where like you start the game and there's like 4 categories of all your mental thoughts, and they're kind of like related. So they're, you know, like logical is like one thing, like rage and id and like all of that like base level of stuff is another thing, you know. I would start with all those even, I think, and then upgrade things as needed. Cool. Yeah. Anyway, it was, I mean, the kudos to the story for or kudos to the game for like how many story points that they had keeping track of the entire time, and how well they were able to like tie together. Like, there's so many things the game has to take account for. I think the game, you can finish it in like 5 days, or you can finish it in like 10 days, something like that. Or I think there's a hard deadline with the maximum number of days you can spend on it. But there's so much going on. Like, I'm not sure how they keep track of all of it. But yeah, so that's like really impressive how everything is able to interact with one another well. So even though I was mentioning the one case possible, that was literally like one of the only times that that like storyline mistake happened in the entire game. Oh wow. So otherwise it's pretty flawless about that. Anyway, this one is like solid B plus. Other people might put it in like the A- A category. I think that's kind of where it is for me. Yeah, and I got 40 hours out of it, so I guess, you know, take it or leave it. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, very cool. Disco Elysium.
All right. Then, as a segue from a game where you're role-playing as a cop, I played another game where you're role-playing as a cop. I played a game called This Is the Police.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so this is like a tiny little strategy game. It's on Steam. It'll sometimes go on sale and be like $3, so it goes on like a heavy discount. And the developer, I think, is like THQ of some kind, or at least that might be the publisher. I will leave that to the listener or someone else to look up. But anyway, it's a very small game. Basically, you're role playing as a police chief who has 60 days until their retirement.
I
know, right? So the weird thing about this, though, is they make it so in Disco Elysium you can choose to be good or crazy, you know, and there's like a pretty wide range of where you can do. This is in this game. This is the police. They force you are going to be a corrupt cop. You cannot be a goody two shoe cop. And the premise of the game is you're trying to raise as much money in that 60 days for your retirement as possible. And so some of the mechanics that you have is you are dealing with like the mafia of this town, and you can make deals with them. You can sell them things or whatever to get money towards the end of the day. But there's there's like weird mechanics at play. So the day-to-day type thing, the main gameplay mechanic of what you're doing is you are looking at a map of the city, and for, I don't know, maybe 18 hours, calls will come up in the city. You will send your police officers out there. They'll handle it or not, depending on what their skill level is. And then they'll come back. And so you have like maybe like 12 different cops or maybe 8 different cops that you can send around the city. They all have like levels. Their levels are like numbers. So it's like, and basically 120 is what they consider to be like the average. So if somebody, you might at the start of the game, you might have this like really old cop who's like rated 10 because they don't really do much. They get tired out really easily. But you might have really awesome police officers who at the start of the game are in like 200 or 300. You might be able to, throughout the game, like work them up to like 600 or 1,000. That's kind of like the number scale, I guess. But anyway, you use the number scale to figure out which cops you're sending out to each of these events. So like, if you want to say build up one of these like cops who's like not really doing a lot, you send them with your best cop, and they might get the job done. Yeah. And the encounters are really interesting. Like sometimes it'll just be you send them and it's resolved and you don't have to do anything. Sometimes you send them, they'll ask for backup and you might have to send more people. But the main like friction point is you might run out of people sending them to these different events.
Yeah.
In which case, all these events like have a timer on it. So you say you send out like all 80 of your cops to these things, and then an event comes up with like a 9-second timer on it. It's like, well, I guess that person's just going to get away with whatever crime they commit. And one of the cool parts. Oh, go ahead.
You're a much nicer police chief than me. The approach, my approach was like, oh, this cop is going to report me to the, I don't know who you report cops
to the police.
Yes. Guess he's going to go to respond to this hostage situation with no weapons or backup.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So this is like a weird sub mechanic of the game. Is like you start getting, in addition to like regular events, you start getting like mafia events where it's like the mafia calls in a favor and like, hey, we need you to like send out someone to like rough up this guy. And it's like, I as a player am like, I don't really want to support you, but if you try and do a good run where you like don't have mafia at all, you eventually get killed by the mafia. So you have to help them out a little bit at least. But then the trade-off with this is as you start sending people to these like events or whatever, you start to get investigated for like through internal affairs about like corruption. And so they introduce some really fucked up mechanics where you can order hits out on your own police officers through the mafia.
I was going to ask, like, do you have to manage, like, do you have to try and root out Serpicos?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what you kind of have to do. So you have to do what David's talking about, where you either informally just send somebody to a situation or they die, or you can literally pay them. Hey, whoever I send here, kill these people, and they'll do that like 100% of the time.
Wow.
So it's like, yeah. So that part's like really fucked up, and so it's interesting that they take this bent where you have to engage with those mechanics, to progress the story.
Tying back to what you were talking about earlier, where like you might go back through Disco Elysium and try all the crazy batshit stuff. 90% of the time, that's a recipe for like, I'm going to go back and realize that the be kind of good path is the only one people actually invested in. Yeah. And like the interesting, be a bad guy stuff comes in games like this where it's actually designed around that.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure what the range is, because I'm still trying to be as good as I can within this bad system, I guess. But yeah, I'm not sure what the variance is if I go like full, because I'm not like trying to kill any of my cops or anything. I try and limit the number of cops that I'm sending to do like terrible things, so I have like one or 2 point people that I trust to do that.
You're not trying to kill your cops. They're just giving you no other option.
I don't know. The 2 corrupt ones that I had, they planned a trip to somewhere else and like stopped coming into the office, and that was them going to internal affairs, I think. But there's a lot of like neat mechanics in the game though, because like, so even on top of this like day-to-day of you sending officers, you also have this mechanic where you have detectives as well, where they operate differently, where you send them out to cases, and then at the end of the day, they give you basically different Polaroid pictures, which are basically like what they've captured from interviewing people. And it's your job to reconstruct the event. And so you might have like a start and end point, like, hey, this person left their apartment, and then at the end point, they ended up dead a block away. And you have to piece together like what happened from these interviews that you get. And so
this sounds amazing.
It's like, don't get me wrong. I mean, a lot of the mechanics are really fun, but this is a very like small, simple game. It doesn't have a high production level or anything like that. So it's not like don't expect to be like blown away with like AAA like wrappings, but it is very well done for what it is. One of my favorite mechanics is while you're doing this throughout the day, you have a record player in your office, and you can just choose what album you want to listen to. And then there's like a magazine that you can order more records for, and you can just pick what music you want to listen to. and the police officer likes jazz music, which also corresponds to music that's probably free to license, because some of it's old like classical music as well.
Yeah.
but it's still like really enjoyable. Where it's like, I'm just going to listen to this like old timey jazz and do my playthrough throughout the day.
Well, and the jazz plays into the, like, I imagine based on the visuals and based on the subject matter, there's some noir stuff going on here.
Yeah, it's pretty noirish. So the one thing is, if you can look at the picture of this on Steam, it has a really good poster, and it has an even better like infographic to start the game. But it's a picture of the officer smoking. But then you can see it in two different ways. Like, it's either him smoking a cigarette, but the red shape that's like outlining the smoke is also a picture of a cop. So it's like this weird like cubism thing where you can see like, this evil cop side to him or whatever. Anyway, so the game's like pretty well done, but it's also like a really small game. So it's I think it's worth picking up like on a Steam sale for $3 or $4. I think that's totally worth the price of admission.
Yeah. And the main character is voiced by Duke Nukem.
I did not know that at all.
Yeah, John St. John.
Nice. I have mixed feelings about that, but okay. But yeah, I didn't notice it, so it was not distracting, I guess. The writing is certainly better than Duke Nukem. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I got one more game.
Okay.
All right. And the last game that I've been playing over the past 2 to 3 weeks is Sunless Skies.
Oh, dang.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Thank you, David, I think, because I believe David got it for me. So I played that, I think, just as of yesterday or the day before, and played it this last weekend. I like it. Similar to the Star Wars game, I just put this on the lowest difficulty because I tried playing on normal and was just getting pwned like in the first hour or two. I think now I kind of have my legs under me, so I think I could probably go back and start with like on the normal difficulty, and I could probably make it through. But I'm going to be committed to like the easy run through first to see what the game has to offer.
Yeah, from what I recall, I don't think there's any, like, I'm doing air quotes here, like legitimate reason to have higher difficulty, in that, like, I think it's almost exclusively just like your fuel and food doesn't last as long. So it's it doesn't really change any of the these that are the reason you're playing the game. Yeah,
it seems similar to FTL, where it's like they just have the difficulties translated down 2 spaces than they should be, where it's like normal is hard and yes. But for anyone who doesn't know what this game is about, it's by the same people who made Sunless Seas, I believe. And I guess that is supposed to be Lovecraftian. This one's kind of Lovecraftian. The idea is you're manning a train in space. It's 2D top down. It's mostly like an economy type game. So I guess in a weird way, it's probably similar to Death Stranding, where you're basically delivering a lot of goods to a lot of different places. The thing that's interesting about it, you have a circle map, and it's randomly generated to some extent. It seems like basically I think there's 12 different stations you can go to, or maybe 11 besides the main one. And they are kind of in random layouts depending upon when you start the game. And so the game flow itself is about, you have to manage, you have a crew on your ship, you have fuel and supplies that will just go down as time goes on. Your crew is consuming your supplies, and your ship moving is consuming your fuel. Firefighting is really interesting in this game. Basically, it's a lot of trying to predict where their ship is floating towards and shoot in that direction. And then the other mechanic is, you have WASD controls where where your W is going forwards, your A and your D are turning the ship right or left. So you kind of go in like these arcs or whatever as you're doing it. But then you also have this mechanic where it's like in GoldenEye strafing or whatever. You have a Q and an E button, which will literally shift the ship sideways. And this kind of comes up with dodging. So if someone fires something at you, you can press this to kind of shoot out of the way. But the trade-off is it spends fuel to do that. So you need to kind of be limited with how you do it. But basically everything in this game, it's kind of like Darkest Dungeon in the sense where it's like, it's kind of Lovecraftian, and like everything's kind of a hard decision. Probably a lot of people are going to go insane that are on your crew, but you just hire new ones to make up for that. It's a beautiful aesthetic. I'm not sure what else to say about the game. I don't know how far the way through the game is. I'm not sure how many maps there are. I'm pretty sure there's other places you can go to besides the world you start out on, but I don't know how many. So I think I'm only a quarter or a third of the way through the game. But right now I'm basically okay.
So I was going to say, I think there's 4 maps. Okay.
And so right now I'm just trying to gain enough money to get a better ship that can hold more things and do more things. So it's like a weird like economy builder type thing where you kind of go to different stations and you see that they have either sales on different items, like they might be selling an item for really cheap, and they might have different desires, like, hey, we really want this item and we'll pay you a lot for it. And so it's a lot of like, you have this main hub city in the middle of this circle map, and you have a place where you can dump all your supplies there. And so it's this kind of weird thing where it's like, all I'm interacting with it right now is just going from different places to different places, collecting items that people want, and then taking them to where they other cities where they want them. Yeah, I don't know. It's another cool mechanic of the game is basically the difficulty is basically the distance from the center of the map. So as you get farther and farther away, weirder stuff starts to happen, and it's like pretty creepy too. Like you'll like see these like windstorms that affect the movement of your ship. And you have like a terror meter, and so that starts to like go up in certain areas, so they do a good job of like making things seem pretty scary. There's ships with tentacles on it that are really creepy. There's like, there's a lot to enjoy about this game. It seems like really well made. I'm enjoying it so far. Just crank the difficulty down if you play this game, at least because that was like an initial barrier for me. But
have you had any particularly weird adventures yet, or like storylines yet?
Trying to think. I mean, I can think of like weird areas on the map, I guess. Like there's one where it's like this like wind tidal pool. When you click on the map, there's like a legend for different areas, and so like there's a couple different areas where it's like one, it just says like a terror area or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Where it's like basically if you go there, your terror meter just increases. I don't know what happens if that increases too high. But I know there's one part on the map that reduces terror like significantly. So like a lot of times you go there when you need to do that. But then there's like another place that's called like, it's like grave site or something like that. It has a tentacle for an icon. So it seems like really bad. And that's where like the swirling storm was. And I kind of interacted with something Jason on the outside of it, where there's like a place where you could talk to people who are there. But I didn't venture past like the fog of war, like further in. So I haven't like taken my Heart of Darkness like journey yet.
Yeah, I think that's some of that gets into like there's several different like space gods that can affect things.
Okay.
But yeah, the game eventually gets very, very weird. So I definitely I look forward to hearing some of your adventures.
Yeah, and it's weird. You technically have like a main quest, but it's really weird. You're kind of pushed. You can like right now I have like maybe 5 to 10 missions that I could do. And I'm not sure which one kind of progress. Like the main quest that I have is I need to collect tales of terror, which means like bad interactions. Usually like I fail a die roll and like one of my crew members dies or something. So yeah, you get them. And that's like another thing is this game compared to Disco Elysium, the RNG seems really brutal. No. Like if you have a 50% chance of something, I think I tried it like 6 times or something like that. or maybe I tried it like 8 times and like 6 of them were failures or something like that. It just seemed like pretty brutal. But
so I forget. Do they straight up tell you the percents in this one?
They do.
Because there's been a number of games in this series, and they've changed throughout it how they handle it.
Yeah, they do, and that's maybe an interesting thing. The way the upgrading system works, you have like. Maybe they're like poorly defined. There's like hearts, which is your like ability to like persuade other people. There's like deception type skill. There's like a deduction type skill. I guess it's kind of similar to like Disco Elysium. There's like one other, I forget what it is. Like maybe your might. Yeah. So your ability to like do confrontation and get through like events. And so like as your pilot upgrades, you basically level up 2 of those stats, and then that unlocks different things that you can actually put on your ship. Yeah. So it's interesting. That's like another game that's kind of like a smaller scale game, but the mechanics are pretty good. Right now, I guess like my main goal is to upgrade the ship that I have, and it feels good to be more effective like through this area, because like the first few run-throughs that I had of this, I would just like try and go in a direction and just get hosed by the first thing that I fought. So it does like have a nice progression system to it. Yeah.
Very cool.
All right, I've talked enough. Nice. That's all I got.
Very cool. Yeah. So Jedi Fallen Order, Disco Elysium. This is the police in Sunless Skies.
Yep.
Yeah.
You've been a busy boy.
It's been a while since he's been on. Yeah, Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, I don't have anything huge that's new, so I'll give updates on some stuff I've talked about before. Super Mario Odyssey, I'm continuing my way through. I've gotten to what might be the last area. I don't know. We talked on the previous episode about how each level is so dense with stuff to do, right?
Yeah.
And that means I have no idea what my expectation should be for how many kingdoms are in this game.
What level are you on?
I've gone up to the moon, and I figure that feels like
that's close to the end. Yeah.
Wait, you're collecting moons on the moon?
Right, I know. That was after the Bowser Kingdom, so I feel like there is a climax a coming. And it's just, but like I said, you could tell me I'm halfway through, and it's like, oh yeah, that's like the mid boss, and I would believe you. It's just, this game is so full of wonder. It's just like I don't know where the edges are.
Do you want to know where the edges are?
No, I'm good. I figure I'm close to the end, but or were you fixing to call out some like bad things about the game?
So from my understanding, there's like multiple, and it's similar to N64, where it's like you can beat the game and then there's like a couple of different, yeah.
Yep, that makes total sense. The other thing, I don't think we talked about this yet, is just the the motivations for Bowser. Well, I guess there's two sides to it. One is Princess Peach continues to be just a completely helpless princess, which is unfortunate. Mm-hmm. Again, maybe they give her something to do in terms of the final fight, but right now her role is just to scream and be taken by the bad guy. But the other thing is the whole convention of like Bowser collecting all these items for his wedding. Is kind of amusing. It made me think of the of Prince John from Robin Hood.
Okay,
it's like Prince John didn't want to get married; he just wanted a wedding. That's Bowser in Super Mario Odyssey. He just wants a wedding. He just wants all the nice things and the pomp and circumstance.
Why would you deny him that?
Yeah,
yeah.
Again, kind of glazing over all the problematic stuff about that.
Well,
I'm again still just enjoying how dense the game is with delightful moments for that. So that's Super Mario Odyssey. I've been continuing to play Quake Live.
I have one question about Super Mario
Go
Odyssey.
ahead.
Did you talk about New Donk City last week?
I did, and about how amazing that name is.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Here's the one for me. I distinctly can think of an area in New Donk City that like when you show up, it's like raining and stormy and nighttime, I guess. And like, then you do something and it's daytime and better. I can think of at least one place where I saw somewhere that I was like, oh, I'll probably come back there. And then when I came back in the daytime, it did not seem to be accessible. And I don't know if there's ever a way to do a day night cycle or anything like that. Do you know anything about that?
I would guess that there's not a way to go back to nighttime, but I would also guess where you could probably get to again. I don't think that changes much between the day-night cycle, but I can be wrong.
It was a very distinct, like there was an I-beam and I was like, oh, I need a tank character to knock over that I-beam and that will get me over to that area. And then I came back to it and the I-beam was just gone. And so I was like, huh. It could also be I was misremembering something or got turned around. I would also be very surprised if they walled you off from getting to a moon permanently.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. Is like even if there is a change, it's not going to be anything. Completion of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, New Donk City, rounding up the band and all that stuff was a lot of fun. So yeah, like I mentioned, I'm continuing to play Quake Live. And the funny thing is I'm gradually revealing new dialogue barks that I didn't know existed as I'm getting better and better. It's like there's like a bing midair bark when you kill someone while they're midair.
Okay.
Or there's like a 2 kills in 2 seconds part when you manage to get two kills in 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's this kind of little like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do well next, but it's always interesting when you hear something new.
That seems like the proper way to do achievements to me, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, there's
don't make it a part of like a metagame or whatever. Like, don't keep track of it. Just have a booming voice applaud me for doing something special.
Yeah. That's all I ask for. It really is a callback to a simpler time where you see on Reddit every now and again the meme of like, okay, back in the day you saw someone with this crazy in-game armor set. It's like, wow, they did XYZ thing, and now you see it's like, wow, they got their parents' credit card. And so this definitely feels like a callback to that simpler time, but more difficult time.
As a side note, Kole, if that is your thing, can I suggest PvP in Destiny 2?
No.
No, you may not.
No.
Lord Shax is quite amazing for that, however. So that's Quake Live. And then based on that, I kind of found out there's a new arena first person shooter coming out called Diabotical, like bots. And it's in closed beta right now, but I managed to get a key for it, and then find out that this game, which is like a Kickstarter indie game type of deal, I am not able to play with my current setup because of some tech requirements. So I don't know what any of this means, but I needed a processor that supports SSE 4.2, and I did not have that.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, well, it pulled a PC upgrade daisy chain that is heinous, to be honest. And so, to get that, I needed a newer processor. But then I found out to get the newer processor, my motherboard is probably the oldest thing in my computer. I need to upgrade my motherboard. If I was going to upgrade my motherboard, my current one has 4 slots. The one I'm going to only has 2 for RAM. So I need to get new RAM. Yeah. And then also it does not have a VGA cable port. It's only got HDMI ports. So I need a new monitor now.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Diabotical, the closed beta, is going to be $165 game for me. And I will couch that. Yeah, I was kind of due for an upgrade anyway, and then obviously having a friend in the neighborhood who's like really excited to play Diabotic with me because that's how I found it. Kind of helps justify the expense. But I got a whole bunch of shit coming to me through Amazon. That I ordered up. But man, like that is a game unto itself. Trying to decipher, like, goddamn, can we just have like normal names for gaming stuff?
It's rough.
Letters.
Yeah, no.
Letters.
I mean, like when I built my new PC last spring, like that was the first time that I had done it in like 5 years. And like everything changed since then. I was like, fuck. Why does everything have lights on it?
Yeah. No kidding. So yeah, and this is where I need to just go get like a pre-built Omen or pre-built whatever. The Steam box was the big thing, right? Like I could do that, but I also that's still just a step above what I want to invest at any one time. So that has been a gaming experience unto itself this week. So for I know there's like one person out there I'm sure that's screaming like, what did you actually get? So I quote unquote upgraded, and I say upgrade because this is like I'm going from 10-year-old stuff to 5-year-old stuff. But an AMD Ryzen 3 processor, and then a gigabyte, a ton of letters motherboard, and then sticking with my GTX 950 graphics card.
Gotcha.
And then 8 megabytes of RAM to go in that. So I'm sure that means something to someone. It means to me that I'm out $160. But I will hopefully be playing Diabotical when the closed beta goes back up next weekend.
Yeah, I mean, all told, that's not a lot of money to spend,
In the world of PCs, no, I made out like a bandit, but I'll also be obsolete in another 3 months. So
whatever.
Yeah. We'll be close enough to the PlayStation 5 coming out by the time that my stuff is obsolete that I'll be happy.
Yeah.
To focus on that. But yeah, so that's my PC gaming adventures. The final thing, I guess this is kind of gaming related, but I took Luke and Milo to Main Event in Westchester, which is basically like oh shoot, it's escaping me. I was gonna say Barnes and Noble, but that's not right.
Dave and Buster's.
Thank you. Yes, it's a Dave and Buster's. It's got like laser tag and bowling, and then a big arcade.
It's a fun center. Yeah,
it is a fun center. There you go. That's exactly what it is. So I took them out there, actually for a secret shop, and I think I've talked before about how we can get free dinners and all sorts of stuff from that. And it was a freaking blast. Like this is perfect age for them. Milo's probably a little young, but to just run rampant all over the place, and particularly through the arcade was an interesting experience. My first learning was that you don't even need to invest anything. You just turn them loose to run around and look at stuff. for and that was good for an hour of entertainment at least,
just before to see what they approach and then how they react, or
just to let them be drawn around like moths between all the different lights and sounds. And like I said, it's a solid hour of entertainment before they even thought to ask to play one of the games. It's just like attract mode is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, so innocent. Yeah.
So then I did get him some money to play with, and that was fun. But Luke went directly to Whack-A-Mole, which I thought, okay, that's good. Start on a classic. But he's small enough that like the hammer for Whack-A-Mole was physically fatiguing him by the end. And it's very sweet to see a 5-year-old try to play Whack-A-Mole with an outsized hammer that it hasn't occurred to him to just like hold down the heads. Yet, like, so he's just really, really going at it with all he's worth, and was pretty spent by the end of that. So that was fun. There was a Ghostbusters game that they decided they wanted to play. It looked like there was something where it would actually fire physical ping pong balls at the screen. But that never came into play. It was just I don't think they made it to whatever point it would have actually turned that piece of the machine on. Huh. It was a generic quote unquote shooter, but it's busting ghosts or whatever. Milo decided that he got bored literally 15 seconds into it and just kind of wandered away from the machine.
Yeah, I'm done here.
It was fun. Attract mode got him, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the final thing is I don't know the last time you guys went through an arcade like that, but almost all the games are now just replicas of apps.
Yeah, I've seen like the Free Ninja ones and things like that. However, most of the arcades that I go to are explicitly retro. So
you've avoided this.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this is going to come across as old man yells at cloud, but to go in and pay to play a version of a game that there is a better, less scammy version of for free on my phone, I just died a little bit inside. There's like,
especially if apparently someone took a free to play game and made it more scammy.
Yes, which I didn't think was possible. So all of that was made up for by the fact that there was a Beat Saber cabinet in the arcade.
Oh, dang, really?
Which is awesome. Yeah, they actually put in several VR installations. There was something with Rabbids that I think was more of just a ride.
And you put it on your face, huh?
Yeah, no way. We did not. Oh. We appreciated it from afar.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it wasn't going to go down that road. I paid for the privilege to put sweaty shit on my face at home. Thank you very much. But yeah, it was interesting. I've never seen Beat Saber in the wild like that, or didn't know a cabinet like that existed outside of like dedicated VR arcades.
Yeah.
And so kind of interesting that they've gone that direction.
Nice.
So yeah, that's all the video game stuff. Bowling is worth mentioning only because we did that right after dinner, and Luke bowled a strike on his very first frame. It was like mind blown, awesome, and he's small enough that he's using the ramp and everything to roll the ball down. And then they start whining about dessert. We want dessert. I said, I'll make you a deal. Calculating back here. You guys get all the pins like that again, and I'll get you dessert. And guys, bowling has never been more intense. like you would think that they were trying to land some plane with 3 or 4 engines out or whatever, the way they watched it down the aisle. And, they did the lean just on steroids. And, I'll put some pictures into the Slack eventually. Like it was adorable, and I was going to get them dessert no matter what.
Oh yeah,
don't worry about that. But they both successfully got additional strikes, which I thought was really cool. So
nice.
And you know, when it happened, it was the, you know, Apollo 11 landing, and we got him home. It was a good time. So not quite video games, but it was an amazing time and worth talking about nonetheless.
Nice. Now, good stories.
Mm-hmm. So that's me.
Yeah. David, how about you?
Sure. So I've pretty much just been grinding on Warlords of New York for Division 2.
Okay.
I don't know if I said this last time. Basically, kind of the structure of the expansion is you're ultimately going after this rogue agent that is kind of been the main villain of the game throughout and has stolen a copy of the virus that you know, kind of ended society and is trying to re-weaponize it. However, in order to get to him, you have to defeat these 4 other rogue agents that are kind of his underlings.
Okay. Right now you're describing a Crackdown game.
Yeah, it's basically that sort of thing. And so I just finished, you know, I've defeated all 4 of his underagents, and so now it's time for the kind of dramatic confrontation with him.
Are we avoiding the word lieutenants now? Is that not kosher?
Oh yeah, I guess lieutenants. Yeah, that'd be a good way to do it. Although one of the interesting things is that, you know, you can really tell they're trying to kind of do right by the storyline this time around, you know, really put more focus on it. And so one of the interesting things is as you go along, you kind of learn that none of the lieutenants actually care about any of the stuff he cares about.
Okay.
You know, ranging from like one guy is basically the leader of the Rikers Island inmates that were basically left to you know, die of the plague when everyone else evacuated.
Prescient.
And so, you know, the only reason he's working for Keener is the guy that's the main villain, is so that he won't start just like killing the inmates.
Okay.
One of the other people basically believes that their father was apparently a senator that died under mysterious causes. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of become a conspiracy theorist that's obsessed with the idea that his father was murdered by the now former president. And so, you know, Kino's kind of stringing him along with information on that. So it's really interesting that all of the characters very much have their own motivations. And, you know, a number of them, you know, I would say all of them have at least a certain degree to which they can be sympathetic. You know, some of them are fairly borderline, like, you know, it's actually debatable, you know, whether they are at least not necessarily awful people. Mm-hmm. Most notably, the person that's kind of the conspiracy theorist, you know, appears to genuinely believe that he's on the right side and is like fighting against corruption and stuff.
Okay.
And that's actually a little bit uncovers one of the game's continued failings in that, you know, kill is literally your only verb to interact with the world.
Yeah, and so these things can only end in one way. Yeah. Right.
And especially because, like, granted, there is like a boss fight where suddenly he's like, you know, going at you with a sniper rifle, but like until that point, all of the audio logs you're getting, stuff like that, make it clear that he is not a combatant, you know, that he doesn't really, you know, have any tactical skills, that sort of thing. So it's a little bit unfortunate.
Just sniper rifles.
Yeah, it's really weird. There's some weird some weird like plot holiness with that, because like his background for how he got recruited is like he was a Navy pilot, so it's like you've got to have some sort of training, you know. So it's a little weird, but the point being, like, it's kind of weird that then you just like, oh, guess you have to die now. The cool thing though is that the kind of final mission for each of the bosses is much more, compared to the previous game, they're much more diverse. They have make a lot better use of the locations. For example, one of the characters has kind of taken over Wall Street, and so you are going through like the Federal Reserve and the stock exchange and stuff like that, and seeing how they've kind of made this weird kind of post-apocalyptic economy where it's like, two bars of gold bullion will buy you like a shot of liquor, because
massive
they've
inflation.
literally got the entirety of the U.S. Gold supply. So stuff like that, and then the boss fights themselves are much more interesting. Each of the bosses, each of the lieutenants, when you beat them, you unlock a new skill. And so, for example, the guy that's the conspiracy theorist is kind of the techie, and his ability is basically a holographic decoy. So his boss fight, then he deploys them in mass, and so it's things where like all of a sudden like dozens of him will appear, and you have to very quickly figure out which one is actually the one that's going to start shooting at you. Things like that. So it's much more interesting, much better storytelling overall. Likewise, I don't know if I said last time, but the system of being able to extract stats from your guns and then have those indefinitely, where any gun you get afterwards you can upgrade with that stat, is kind of a masterstroke. It's something that honestly I think needs to just be par for the course for looter shooters from now on. It's just so much better than the alternatives.
Being able to derive any kind of progress from something that would otherwise just be junk is needed.
Exactly. And there's kind of some controversy in the community right now, because they've pretty dramatically overhauled their stat system, and on the one hand it makes it a lot more viable, a lot less ability to just kind of steamroll over enemies. On the other hand, there's definitely certain things where they've gone too far that way. But it does seem like they're doing a good job of trying to make the different weapon perks much more interesting.
Okay.
So that's honestly most of what I've got. I'm still enjoying, it's still really interesting seeing, a recreation pretty much 1-to-1 of like areas I know.
Yeah, it's your neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly.
So they've stuck with that. It is equally as faithful throughout.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, it definitely seems to be.
It seems to get closer and closer by the day.
Yeah, also true. It also seems like they kind of double down on some of the NPCs, their interactions with the story. It's a lot of fun having kind of the different personalities, different reactions to what you're doing. Most notably, kind of the leader of the resistance movement is a guy from the first game that has basically concluded that the division just bring problems wherever they can go. They go, and are just a bunch of, people who only know how to shoot people, which is completely the case.
Accurate. Yeah, no, busted.
But they do a really good job of, getting a lot of mileage out of the fact that, like, kind of threads the needle of, like, him sort of constantly, like, belittling you, but also it kind of being like, well, guess you have all you need to, go kill the hell out of this guy, have fun, which is kind of endearing.
Yeah.
So yeah, seems really good. I think clearly the greatest addition, though, is that now the NPCs that you see out patrolling will play with the stray dogs that wander around the city, and that's clearly the most important addition that this expansion has added. So that's where I come down.
Nice. The Division 2 Warlords of New York. I don't know that I have any other questions about it. Yeah. Is that all you had, David?
That's all I have.
Okay. And I have not been playing anything. I have been doing other assignment stuff. So
you've been playing a lot of things, just not things.
Yeah. Just stuff I'm going to be talking about elsewhere,
Let the record show.
Multiplayer. Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. That's what happens normally. However, because this episode has a number that is divisible by 5, we're doing a free play multiplayer where it is flip-flopped. That is right. You are asking us questions and we are answering them. Questions like Lindsay asks, cheat codes are a thing of the past for the most part. What was your favorite to play around with? I mean, this is a basic answer, but like dropping tanks into like Grand Theft Auto.
Mine was going to be riot mode in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, and then just seeing how long you can survive, like
it's crazy how like one change like that makes a completely different game, but still fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be mine. How about you, Dennis?
So the one I'm most fond of was there was a secret menu select in one of the Sonic games on Sega Genesis. Or excuse me, no, this was what was their handheld?
Game Gear.
Game Gear, yeah, there we go. On the Game Gear, where I guess if you hit the start button right as Sonic blinked the second time at the main menu, you could get in and pick whatever level you wanted. We were only able to get it. We'd try every time, only able to get it to work like once or twice.
I know exactly which Sonic game you're talking about, and that game is bullshit hard. And that was the only, it really was the only way to like see anything beyond the first level or two.
Especially because the one time we actually made good progress in it, the batteries died.
Yep. Oh, I mean, yeah. Game Gear.txt.
Yeah. So that's mine.
Yeah. David, how about you?
And I'm not sure I have any that I really, really got into. I remember some of them for the original GoldenEye being a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Just running around with like, crazy weapons or, being invisible and
dual wield everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, those were fun as well. Like monkey mode was always fun, and the gigantic heads and the long arms, even if it was just cosmetic. Yeah. Mike asks, what is an unpopular opinion about a video game that you'll always dig in and defend? David, you had one kind of, but I don't know if it's your answer. You said that you don't like the boss fights in Souls games. Is that what you're going to go with, or do you have another one?
I mean, I have so many. I mean, I can go with that. I can go with permadeath is almost always a bad idea. Mm-hmm. I could go with, the Stanley Parable would be the worst game ever made if it was a game.
Okay, yeah.
No, with saying, I mean that comically. Yeah, I don't know. I have so many bad opinions.
You varied a few.
Popular. They're not.
Yeah.
Just add yourself.
How about you, Ben?
I'll go with this hot take. I don't like Breath of the Wild, and yeah, I don't think the puzzles are that good. I don't think it's a good Zelda game. There's interesting things with it, but overall, I was disappointed.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say Dishonored is bad.
So why you?
That's not even an unpopular opinion on this podcast.
Me and Jala will always dig in on that, but that is a popular opinion. That is a well-regarded game. Let's see. I've got 3 of them. 1, voice acting has ruined more games than it's helped. 2, the shorter a game, the better it is. 3, AAA games are too cheap.
Ooh,
I agree with the latter. I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
So for the first one, would you advocate that in favor of silent protagonist, or just in favor of like actual voiced protagonist or voice characters?
No. So I am saying that just generally, and this is something that has been echoed across the network and even on like other shows that I've listened to, but generally I prefer that all dialogue be handled through text, as opposed to actually voiced. There are times where it could help, and like there are compromises that you can have where like, oh, he's voiced in cinematics, but not elsewhere. It makes games not like it does bad things to the story. Really, it limits the amount of experimentation you can do. Let's say
you've made me think of a thing from Shadow of War, which I didn't see fit to talk about, but along these lines, it is infuriating that every time you finish a mission, it will start dialogue between the characters. And all you want to do when you finish a mission is to open up your map to see what changed and where you should go next. And that cancels the dialogue. So,
yep. And it's gone forever.
Yep. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
So I will say, as kind of a takeoff, I don't know if this is unpopular opinion, but kind of related is I really dislike silent protagonists. I think it's very often a bad idea.
Yeah, I can see that. Especially if people are talking to that silent protagonist.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I can hear that.
Hot take. David thinks Half-Life 2 is garbage.
Half-Life Alyx is coming out so soon, you guys.
I think Half-Life 2 is actually the game that gave me that opinion, because as much as I love that, I think it's extremely painfully obvious that in a game that's very dialogue focused, your character never actually speaks.
Yeah. Let's hear. Stephen writes, what is your favorite old candy? Stephen Warzak is probably referring to a joke that I made on Twitter about a grandpa giving somebody orange slice candy. My favorite old candy is not orange slices, root beer barrels, my friend.
Oh, that's horrible.
Love those things. I'll take all yours. It's fine.
Yeah, I feel bad. We just got like a huge bag of them at work and then all reminisced about how awful they were. I could have gotten them to you. Yeah. Dang it.
I'm going to order some. I'm going to order some root beer barrel candy online.
So this is candy that an old person would give you, not candy that of yesteryear.
So like just basically like an old timey candy. So like if you're headed in the direction of Necco wafers, you're probably on the right, and you're in the right neighborhood.
I'll go with candy cigarettes. I think those are cool.
Ooh, those are so good. I love how chalky they are.
Yeah. So it sounds like a backhanded compliment.
No, it is a genuine thing that I feel. I also like how chalky Necco wafers are.
I was going to say, it's in good company.
Yeah, like, and Fun Dip, the stick is the most delicious part of Fun Dip.
Agreed. Oh, I'll back you up on that one.
Yeah.
It's hard to say what qualifies. Like, I love Whoppers. Those feel old timey to me, but they've stayed too relevant, I guess.
They sell them at like at like movie theaters and stuff, but I've never seen anybody buy them willingly. My dad likes those.
They show up in Halloween candy packs.
This is the first time anyone said Whoppers are too relevant.
Yeah, all the hip kids on TikTok doing their Whopper challenges.
Yeah.
Also, technically, if you're eating them wrong, they can be chalky on the inside. The right way, of course, is to bite a little hole in the chocolate and then liquefy the chalky stuff inside. And
How do you liquefy? Are you a fucking housefly? What are you doing? How do you liquefy it?
Xenomorph.
Yeah, you suck on it to create pressure, and then you let your spit
Oh,
out.
I know what you mean.
Now I'm not going to be able to do it. Damn it! Maybe say it. Now it's gross.
The centipede's the housefly's dilemma.
So Whoppers.
Oh man.
So I'm in a weird spot in that almost all of my favorite candies are old-timey. So I would say probably my favorite candies are candy corn, the Valentine's Day hearts.
Valentine's Day hearts
Also
are good.
chalky.
See the aforementioned chalky thing.
Yeah,
I think I have pica.
I feel like there's people talk about like, oh yeah, I realized I was an adult when I started paying bills. I feel like the true measure of when you're an adult is when you realize that the candy hearts are just Necco wafers.
Yep. Scales fall from your eyes.
And then the other one is circus peanuts. Are amazing.
I have been a fan of circus peanuts in my day. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Ben, I forget. Did you have one? Did you have an answer?
Yeah, dog. Candy cigarettes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you did. Sorry.
Those are
Again,
also
chalk.
good.
Yeah. I know, you got lost in the chalk.
Oh man. Whew. I don't eat candy at all, but I just ordered a 2-pound bag of root beer barrels.
As opposed to a bag of root beer, which would be much more awkward.
Well, you just get on to Sam's Club and get that. It's like the fountain drink bag in a box. Yeah.
I'm really debating getting some of those actually.
A bag in a box?
Well, no. So my work for some reason got a carbonated water machine.
Oh, you would want to get some SodaStream syrup in order to make pop?
Because an unpopular real life opinion, sparkling water is deplorable.
No, I wasn't laughing at it. I just liked the idea of the question spiraling out of control and none of us can stop saying controversial things. Let's see here. Jonathan writes, has anyone seen the new No Man's Sky update? ?
Nope.
No.
It looks cool. You get a Tamagotchi ship.
What?
As in literally you are given an egg and that egg grows into a organic spacefaring ship.
That's terrifying.
You Jonah and the whale this all over the galaxy.
I love the idea of flying in a whale ship, and I have since I played Final Fantasy IV.
I'll enjoy it if they're committed to the realism.
Yeah, if I steer by manipulating bladders.
I feel like a similar one in terms of, a soon question will be video game adaptation movies.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want to see No Man's Sky as directed by Cronenberg.
I'd like to see him direct anything. It's been a while since I've seen a Cronenberg movie. Ollie writes, in the wake of Tomb Raider, Detective Pikachu, and Sonic the Hedgehog, video games turned into movies are on the up. Okay. What do you think could make a good movie, and who would you have play the main character? Bonus points if you don't talk about the obvious, Uncharted or Last of Us. And Casey chimes in and says, hey, The Last of Us is getting an HBO series. Let's put a pin in that because that'll be talked about in the thing.
As
in the
we are
next segment
contractually
there.
Obligated.
I was unaware of that. Who are you signing contracts with?
It's internet providers. They won't let you have internet for a podcast.
Uncharted opinion, unpopular opinion, but am I the only one that feels like Uncharted is the absolute worst video game to ever make out into a movie?
I think it's the worst, but I also don't think it's great.
It seems pointless to me.
It seems like a worse version of the video game.
Yeah, it'd be kind of like making a movie version of Night Trap.
Right.
Yeah. Night Trap was a full motion video game from like the Sega CD era. You were flipping back and forth between like footage of like a party some girls were throwing and like the vampires who were trying to break in and eat them. It's like a slasher movie kind of thing. My point being, making Uncharted into a movie is kind of like making something that's already a movie into a movie.
Yeah, it's like, hey, what about the thing you like? Do you want it to be shorter and have no control over it?
Yeah. You know that thing inspired by Indiana Jones? Yeah. Does anybody have an answer they want to go to for this?
So I think mine, kind of playing off of that, is I'm sure there are probably like IPs that I would actually like to see as a movie, like as a conventional movie. But if you're going to take one of these things that's like the video game is already trying to make a movie, so let's make a movie out of it, I would just want you to go just full weird on it. So like, I don't know, if you're going to do Night Trap the movie, like get John Carpenter to direct it or something. Like, I know, just go completely weird on it, because like actually adapting the video game, you're just going to get what you always get, which is just kind of like a more boring like version of the video game. Whereas if you got something that was just like straight up weird, that might actually be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
See why the Sonic movie works.
Does it?
Yeah. Have I talked about that? Yeah, we went and saw the Sonic movie.
Okay.
It was good. It was fun.
Oh. I mean, you went there with children.
Correct.
Your children enjoyed it.
My children, correct.
Cool. Okay.
As opposed to last time when I stole someone else's children.
Right. You get the
it
cops
was
after
fine.
you.
It was fun. I enjoyed it.
All right. Yeah.
And it's it is not, other than like a very brief glimpse of his homeland that is like a Sonic level in the opening monologue. They really, it's like, okay, there we go. That's all we're going to try to ape from the games. And that works.
Yeah. Let's see. My answer for this, and it's just because I've been thinking about these games a lot recently, and it would be impossible to do like a good adaptation of it, but Pathologic with Rami Malek playing the doctor. Well, the main character in the game is called The Bachelor, but that means like Bachelor of Science. It's a weird translation for a game, but he's like the city doctor who comes into this backwater town where the outbreak is taking place. Yeah, that's my answer.
I'll say for my answer, just make another Silent Hill. I thought it was great. Have Sean be the main character. Go for it.
Yeah, run it.
Did they not do a Silent Hill sequel?
They did. It's very bad.
Yeah,
okay,
let's talk about that one. I don't remember the second one, but I remember they made a third one that was in 3D, right?
No, so the 3D one is the sequel.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
Silent Hill Revelation 3D, and it is garbage.
Cold take.
Would it be breaking the spirit of this game or of this question to say, what if I said I want the guy who plays was it Detective Jinx from Contradiction, just a movie starring him doing whatever? Like, doesn't need to be video game say other than that. I just really like that actor and would like to see more of him.
I would like to see more of that too. That's a good answer. I need to play that the shape-shifting detective one that came out. That's kind of related to that and Infectious Madness of Dr. Decker. Has anybody not been able to give an answer?
I'll chime in with, I think Phoenix Wright as a full-blown anime, if that hasn't happened yet.
It has in Japan. They've done like stage play adaptations of it too.
Oh,
it looks cool. Pretty good. Yeah. Like, as you watch videos of it, and it seems really engaging. I have no idea what the fuck's going on because I don't speak the language, but cool production values. Yeah. Let's see. Chris writes, I recently played Inside, and I am currently going through The Missing. What are some other awesome puzzle platformy games? Puzzle platformers, guys.
Kind of hard to top Inside, but play Limbo if you haven't played.
That's a good one. Yeah. I'm going to say Gunpoint.
Mm-hmm. Jala talked about it last time, but Trine, if you want something that's
dang, yeah,
also doable as a co-op game.
Mm-hmm. David, how about you?
Oh, good.
Man, I'm not sure I have anything.
You don't like puzzle platformers very much.
Not. I mean, does Castlevania count?
Yeah, it's more of like a straight up platformer.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm not sure I've got one.
Onward.
Dennis, sorry, I was taking a drink of my beverage there. Dennis, it sounded like you had another thing there.
I was going to start naming regular platformers. I was going to, put up Rayman because any chance to put up Rayman is good. But that's pretty much straight up platformer.
Yep. Let's see. Dan writes, if you could have an arcade cabinet or pinball machine in your place of habitation, what would it be? I would love the Terminator 2 pinball machine. I'm going to say Addams Family. Again, I'm going basic, but I got to go with my heart.
Yeah, I'm going to furiously Google the name of this pinball table.
I'll just choose an efficient answer and say like a main cabinet.
That's wishing for more wishes, Ben.
Yeah.
David, how about you?
I think I'd go with maybe Twilight Zone.
Cool. Twilight Zone's good. Yeah. That would be close to my second choice. I have not played enough of it to know if it's any good, or like if it has the legs that say an Addams Family table would do. But like the Monsters pinball table that just came out recently is actually really, really good. From what I can tell, yeah. Like look up some photos of it, or look at video of it and play. Like the table is all in black and white.
Nice.
And has cool like lighting effects and stuff. Did you find it, Dennis?
Yep, here it is. It's so it's called Medieval Madness.
Oh, Medieval Madness is so good. Okay, they have that at the bar arcade here. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Yeah.
Well, and so Jen and I stumbled upon it when we were in Portland in a pinball arcade, and like just that we were like just went in and played that for hours, and so we came out and we're like, we would actually seriously consider getting that. I wonder if we can find it. I wonder,
it's very costly.
It is like number one on the pinball company's list of top 50 tables. So yeah, it's not coming home with us. Honorable mention goes to the most recent Game of Thrones pinball table is actually really good.
Oh yeah, where you can pick your house that you're associated with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like would make a good pinball table would be XCOM.
XCOM would, yeah,
make a really good one.
I'll just throw my wallet at the screen here.
Go ahead.
Des, have you messed around at all with what is it? It's like Occult Pinball, I think it's called.
No. That sounds interesting.
It sounds like a recommendation. Something weird about Medieval Madness, like Scott Adsit and another person from Second City, Chicago, wrote the dialogue. So, and also like Tina Fey did some voice character for it. Because she was also kind of like associated. Because like it's a Williams game, and it was put out in 1997 when all of those alt comedy people were still doing like improv in Chicago, where Midway was based. Yeah. It's super weird. Also, Medieval Madness has a castle made of wangs. Yeah. Let's see here. Roop says, most snackable food while gaming?
Ooh. Peanut butter M&Ms.
Let's see. If I'm feeling naughty, peanut M&Ms. I don't like the peanut butter ones. If I'm feeling mostly like the snacks I generally eat, like an almond, Yeah. Can't do pistachios because I don't buy unshelled pistachios because the journey is what I'm there for.
So while we're racking out unpopular opinions, I will take peanut butter M&Ms over peanut M&Ms any day.
Yeah. Well, now we have to fight.
What about almond M&Ms?
I've never had those. I think that would be
amazing.
Oh, okay. How about you, David? What's your snack? What's the most snackable food while gaming?
My go-to's probably pretzels.
Pretzels would be good, yeah. Basically, like what I would be looking for is something that would not leave residue on my fingers.
Yeah.
I don't want to get that on my controller. How about you, Ben?
I'm throwing caution to the wind. I'm saying just do potato chips. If you're going to be indulgent, go all the way.
just hammer it. Yeah. Let's see here.
Touch your face the entire time. And
yeah.
Also, point of order, I got the name wrong. It's Demon's Tilt is the cult pinball game.
Okay. Is it like a video? I mean, is it a video game?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I don't know. Cool. Let's see. Greg writes, do you think Microsoft and Sony will eventually release the requirement to log in with their old consoles so we can actually, play the full games we bought and downloaded? Digital gaming is great, but not if it comes with shit like this. No, I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah. I don't think they're ever going to sunset the unlock. I think they would rather let the consoles fall into maybe I think they would rather cut the servers and let the consoles fall into disuse.
Yeah,
they don't have any incentive to do it.
This question implies that that you own property, which clearly you need to learn your place, sir.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, does anybody else have an answer? I hit that really hard. I don't want to not leave room for dissent.
Yeah, honestly, I don't quite know enough about it. I definitely can see them, abandoning any effort they have to put into supporting old things as soon as humanly possible. Where I use human lightly. But what that actually entails, I don't know.
Don't know. Let's see. Moving on to the next one here. This is tough, actually. Casey writes, the Nintendo Switch is now 3 years old. So what is your favorite 2017 video game and why is it not Breath of the Wild? Just kidding about that part. Listen earlier in the episode. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, Super Mario Odyssey is the best one that I've played of the bunch.
Yeah, I was going to name that one as well.
Yeah, there's some really good stuff that came out in 2017. There's Nier Automata, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Let's
are we not limiting to the Switch?
No, any game that came out in 2017. Yeah, XCOM 2, War of the Chosen.
Oh, well, there we go.
Let's see here. Shovel Knight? Wait, no, that can't be right. Shovel Knight came out way earlier than that.
Maybe on consoles or something like that. Yeah,
I think it was the game of the year kind of thing that came out.
Horizon Zero Dawn is on that list, man.
It's still an easy Odyssey for me.
Yeah, so it's was that 2017 or 2018?
Odyssey is 2017.
2017 says the internet.
Okay.
I'm kind of disturbed. I'm looking through this, and I don't think I actually played any games that came out that year. No, actually, no. Even more disturbing. I think the only game that I played that came out that year is Destiny 2.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Huh.
I mean, obviously, I played lots of games that year, but...
Right. Yeah, this is tough for me. I'm just going to cut bait, and I'm going to say...
Dead by Daylight?
Man, Stardew Valley came out on the Switch, but that feels like cheating. Let's say Night in the Woods. It's not the best game, but I really like its story an awful lot.
That was a very poorly timed game for me.
Yeah. It's pretty rough. Cool. Ben, did you have? Are you going with Odyssey as well?
Easy Odyssey, easy life.
Easy Odyssey. And then Marathon says, what's the first game you remember beating?
Ooh, that's a good
Mario or Mario 3 for me.
Probably like Sonic 2 or Sonic 3. Yeah.
No one ever beat Mario 3. You just played an hour or two of it at your cousin's house.
I gotta disagree with you there.
Actually, Super Mario Land 3, Super Wario Land, or no, what is that? Whichever version is Super Wario Land on Game Boy.
Yeah, that'd be Super Mario Land 3, Super Wario Land. Yeah.
That's the first one I can remember beating that actually, like, you know, it was sensical to say you have beat it. Like Tetris, I'm not going to beat.
Right. Yeah. How about you, David?
That's tough. Maybe Pokemon?
Yeah, I can say that, yeah.
Yeah, I
Red or blue?
Blue.
Nice.
Yeah. That also was in my unpopular opinion.
What, that blue is better than red?
I don't know that I actually have an opinion there, but I apparently picked the unpopular one.
Huh.
It's one of those things. I always try to pick the unpopular one, but I get the popular one.
Sure.
Like just by accident.
Ooh, it's like why
Little Nightmares was in 2017.
Oh, yeah.
Outlast 2.
I had no idea that there were just like Wikipedia articles of like what games came out what year.
Yep.
Yeah. Huh. Well, thank you everybody for writing in and letting us know your questions. We'll be back with a normal multiplayer next week. If you'd like to participate, go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast and watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons. Thank you, Dennis, for putting this one up.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the End Boss, where we talk about things that are exciting us in the world of video games right now. Mine is quick, and I might as well just get it out here because it is also follow-up. So last week, I talked about the new trailer that Frictional Games, the developer of Soma and Amnesia, they put out a teaser trailer at the end of kind of a treasure hunt trail of an ARG, pointing to the announcement of their new game, and talked a little bit about what happened there. Basically in the time between when we recorded that episode and when it came out, it was actually announced as Amnesia Rebirth. So this is Frictional getting a hold of the Amnesia games again. And this is going to be related to the first game. It's not going to be part of the Machine for Pigs-averse. But the fact that they are doing that, and it seems like they're trying to do it right, makes me super, super happy. And it's going to be coming out later this year.
This is the same like Penumbra, like you're in a mine shaft game. That series?
So, like, Amnesia is a spiritual successor to the Penumbra games.
Oh, okay, but it's not made by the same people?
It's made by the same people.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yep. So, I'm jazzed. I could not be more excited about it. Yeah.
Very cool.
Let's see, Dennis, what's happening with Destiny?
Yeah. So I feel like I'm channeling my inner David here, but I thought this was very interesting. Just, you know, given the nature of online communities, how big these extended, very obtuse puzzles have become. The Destiny community managed to solve a puzzle through brute force 2 years ago. And then everyone kind of lost interest in the quote unquote right way to solve it because everyone knew the answer and they were on to the next thing. However, some dedicated players have seen through getting to the answer. And it turns out you need to find a certain sign that has a logo that lines up to the iron or the ADS like icon of a particular gun. And when you aim that gun at the sign and line up the icons, other aspects of the game's aim down sights line up with letters on the sign that you then unscramble to get to the word that everyone found through brute force. So,
wow,
it's interesting in that it does not seem that crazy to me. Like, it's like, oh, you know, match up the symbols.
You just described the craziest possible thing.
No, I'll
crazy to me.
I'll explain it in a less crazy way. Line up matching symbols and get the letters that you unscramble. Like,
okay,
that seems fairly straightforward.
To be fair, that seems like Child's Play compared to PT.
compared to PT. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So and I'm sure again it's all obvious in retrospect, and I don't know if this is one sign in one level of corner of the game world. That is asking a lot, I'm sure. But kudos to the players that actually kept after. They've got the answer. So what, my friend, is the question, and they've got it now.
Nice. Yeah, it has to be like infuriating to design that, put it out in the world, and then just watch people like not just not solve it, but like go in the exact opposite direction.
It's like watching every speedrun game.
It wasn't announced that in like Shadowrun, they're like, there was an Easter egg in the first area, but we've kind of forgotten what it was at this point. No one ever found it.
Maybe I forget. I don't know. Let's see, David, is the Reddit link here your story, or was that just sharing for funsies?
That was kind of the most news worthy thing I found, which is kind of, I guess, pop culture adjacent. So South by Southwest has announced that they are canceling this year. However, they have also announced that they have a strict no refunds policy.
And those badges are incredibly expensive.
They're like 1,000. Yeah.
It's no joke.
Wow, that is
stole lots of money.
That is really, really bad.
That does not look good.
No.
Time to figure out what's going to be the new South by Southwest.
I leave Austin for 1 year.
Damn it, Ben!
Falls apart.
You weren't there. We were counting on you.
That Tito's bus ran on schedule. I was there the entire
Ben, what is going on with The Last of Us?
Yeah, I thought Dennis was going to talk about this with me, and he still can. But HBO is making The Last of Us TV show. They're working with Neil Druckmann, and they're working with one of the writers from Chernobyl. Thumbs up. I'm down. It might be bad, but it might not. So who knows? Nothing to lose.
Yeah. Like I was kind of like, that's a choice. But then I saw that somebody from Chernobyl was on it. I was like, fuck yeah, Chernobyl was the best thing I saw last year. So cool.
I mean, I'm more inspired by Neil. I haven't seen Chernobyl. I've heard great things, but Neil Druckmann's really good. Like, had a great track record.
What has he done?
He's the game, not producer, but
director, I think.
Oh yeah, no, he's like the Last of Us guy. Yeah.
So he's the one he went back and did other Uncharted games, but he did The Last of Us instead of Uncharted 3, which was not great. But
yeah, I was gonna say Uncharted 3 kind of hurt without him.
Nice. Okay, that's cool. It's got the original people involved too. Yeah.
I could see just go completely, as gritty as possible.
It'll be interesting to see because the Uncharted movie has been in production hell for the last 10 years. So if they just fast track and make this in like under a year, that'll be really awesome.
Yeah, which will come out first?
I mean, here's like the secret thing. Like so many video games would be better served as a TV miniseries. Yep. Yeah. I mean, a video game is 10 to 15 hours long. Yeah, instead of a movie. A video game is, 10 to 15 hours long. You cram that into a 2-hour movie, it's going to suck. But like you let it breathe in a TV series, like that's bad. It's better for the pacing, Yeah.
I could absolutely see that.
I mean, I'd go under, I think right now most things are better as a TV series than movie.
Yeah.
I would go back to our earlier discussion and say I would love to see them go into this world and do a movie in it without just kind of aping the characters and the plot arc from the video game. Like
that's the thing. I would really prefer that they didn't do the the Ellie and Josh. Is that his name? Josh? Joel. There we go. Well, whatever. What's his name? If they didn't do that story.
The Josh Brolin character.
Wow, that's exactly what I was thinking, Ben.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we will follow the development of that. How do you all feel about buttoning it up?
Let us button.
The credits.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of The Level. We really appreciate it. I'm trying to think of like admin stuff. So in the past, I had talked about us going to, or like me and Gary going to the Midwest Gaming Classic up in Milwaukee. It's up like, so they haven't said anything about what's happening with that show. I just want to prepare people for the possibility that that convention might be canceled. And if that is canceled, we're not going to be in the region. So just want to lay that out there in case, so it doesn't come as a huge surprise. This is future Kole here. We decided to cancel the Midwest Gaming Classic appearance after we recorded this, but before it came out. So, yeah. Sorry, everybody. It was... We felt the responsible thing to do. By way of other admin, I mean me and Gary, for patrons, we're going to be starting up kind of like a dueling Dark Souls randomizer video series where each of us play Dark Souls randomized and put out episodes, hour-long episodes on alternating days. It is a Duckfeed event for the ages. Watch the Patreon for that. It should be starting up in like the next week or so. So those are the only big things. I've already recorded one episode of it, and it's crazy the things that happen there. But for this show and the show in particular, the stuff you can do. You can wash your hands. You can cover your mouth when you cough and sneeze. You can go, if you're able to, not go to work if you are feeling symptomatic, and be extra careful around loved ones who may be either immunocompromised or immunodeficient. This is all of us working together. We are all in this, and beating this is it's a team sport. Mm-hmm. Am I forgetting anything?
Also, watch out for old people and young people.
Yes. Yeah. I do that anyway.
Just watch out for people. People are generally the problem.
Yeah. So I've been Kole. I have been Kole Ross. You can watch my streams on Twitch at Duckfeed.tv.
I've been Dennis. I've been Dennis Furia. You can find me online at Deck of Wonders on Twitter with underscores between each word.
Mm-hmm.
My name's David Myersmith. You can watch me when I don't know, probably sneak on Kole's account.
I've been Ben Merkel, and you cannot find me because I'm under 14.
And stick around for some titles. Who has titles?
I have a plethora.
Okay.
Let's see here. I have... Where'd my notes go? There it is. The Police. I have... Or actually, this is part of the title. I have so many bad opinions. So I was going to say, I have so many bad opinions, but yeah, I have so many bad opinions.
Okay.
Whoppers Are Too Relevant. And then Easy Odyssey.
Okay. Let's see, Ben, what do you have?
I have weird ones. I have David's Dark Horse entry of People Are Generally...
People are generally what? I'm sorry?
The Problem. I think I have Pica.
Okay.
And I have sweaty shit on my face.
Oh, no. Okay. And David, what do you got?
I think I just have, was it Into the Chalk?
Yeah, so I also have Lost in the Chalk.
Yeah, that's I think I couldn't quite remember how it was put down, so I think that's right.
Yeah, I have TikTok Whopper challenges. And I have the Housefly's Dilemma. So by votes, it's Lost in the Chalk. However, does anybody want to make an impassioned case for their preferred one?
I like Whoppers Are Too Relevant, but I'm biased because I said it.
I like Whoppers Are Too Relevant.
You kind of had a variant of it, Kole. I don't know if there's.
Yes. Well, I mean, I don't need consolation.
mostly I'm buffering it through a votes argument saying yours should count as a vote for.
Uh-huh.
So I will stay on brand and have the bad opinion that I have so many bad opinions.
My dissent has been noted.
What I don't want to happen is for that to win title of the year, because for the past few years, all of the self-deprecating titles have won the best. I think people are trying to tell us things.
Wait, there's one that's in space. No one can hear you jam.
Oh yeah. Maybe I'm just insecure and paranoid. Yeah,
maybe. Come on now.
So,
go ahead.
Oh no! So it sounds like Whoppers Are Too Relevant is the go.
I mean, are you worried that that's a little too relevant?
No.
Are you worried about enabling Whoppers in society?
No. If people want to eat gross candy, they can.
All right, we need to shut it down before we start tearing
each other apart.